to athletics, LLC. With Lamar, Lucious, Big League Chew, and my man Clyde, and the governor. You're about to be schooled in all things track and field. This is experience. Yes, sir. We are talking past, present, future. Y'all listen up. Let's go.
It's conference weekend, it's conference weekend, it's conference weekend. And so that's my way of saying when you hear the deliria in our voices or answers, it's because it's conference weekend. So welcome one, welcome all. It's Athletics LLC time, a break from reality and into some fun for a little bit as we embark on these championship weekends. Warriors in 7. I wonder what that's about. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing quite well.
Yes.
I'm locked in.
I'm actually playing. Show or to the game?
Just I'm kidding. locked into the show game. I'm playing defense currently.
Oy vey. Oy vey. So, Lucious, how are you tonight, sir?
I'm well. I'm super excited to watch an incredible conference championships this weekend and also keep up the results of the other wonderful conferences going on around the country. So it's always a very, very exciting weekend for all of us. So don't think this year is going to be any different.
You can always tell it's conference weekend or championship weekend because you've got like 12 windows on your phone open and you're just scrolling through the different recording thingies. Oh, and then on Monday, I'm like, delete. Stop draining my battery.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Governor, how are you?
We just had our team meeting and, you know, it's the end of an era for us. Like, you know, and it's interesting when you think about the fact that this was our first like truly international class, and to hear the words that they had to say and the gratitude and everything for the opportunity. Yeah, I mean, even our head coach was just kind of like, wow, like this is.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, but yeah, we get started tomorrow with the multis, and yeah, we'll see how this weekend goes. I'm excited for it.
Love it. We're all here for it. So.
Yep, you guys are gonna crush it, man.
Thank you.
Yep. So wait, can I tell the audience what you guys did for your athletic banquet? Because I told our sport administrator and she was like, So the beautiful family at UTSA, for their athletic banquet at the end of the year in the spring, they closed down Six Flags and had a hurrah, right? And that was their celebration of their athletics. And so I just said, you know, we got a Six Flags. Just saying, it's about 20 minutes away.
It's
and
time to rekindle that friendship /
right.
You know, yeah, it's right there.
So, but she said, you better go talk to your SAC representatives. And I was like, oh man, damn it, that was shut down real quick.
Yes, indeed.
But anyhow, so in all the fun and madness of our conference championships this weekend, Sir Lucious decided to call a staff meeting. So all of us are trimmed up and propered up and ready to go for our 9 a.m. skim staff meeting.
Well, I am going to start with the governor because the governor is the governor, and you know, no better place to start. And so for the governor, the U.S. continues to struggle in the long jump, and the old guard is about to check out in triple jump. What do you see as a major issue in the development of the jumps in this country?
So I've thought about this question a couple of times, and you know,
meaning about 55 probably, but
yeah. And the thing that pops into my mind, and I'm going to use myself as an example. At 11 years old, I watched Carl Lewis win 4 gold medals at the Los Angeles Olympics. But what stuck out to me was what he did in the long jump and how amazing it was to watch him do that. And it captured my imagination, it captured my attention. And ever since that point, you know, as I moved into the collegiate ranks, you saw the long jump on weekends. You watched the entire long jump. You were drawn in. And my freshman year at Rice University was 1991, the greatest long jump ever, right? And to see that come together, and you got to see every single jump. You got to see, you were along for the ride. What's sad to me, and what I think is hurting jumps in I would say in general, and the attention to the jumps and the focus on the jumps, is that these young men and young women do not have what I had. They do not have the role, the person or the attention given to the long jump for them to grow up and say, you know what, this is what I want to do. I would say furthermore, there is almost an attempt to take the long jump and the triple jump kind of out of the picture altogether. And it bothers me very, very deeply to watch live competitions and then to get maybe the top 3 jumps shown on TV. So you're basically not, there's no focus on these 2 beautiful events. And I think these young men and young women just don't have, and they're not being told or told by their coaches in high school or wherever, or their club coaches, that this can be a path for you. Mm-hmm. It's no longer a viable path for a young man or a young woman. So you add in, you know, the focus on the sprints, the hurdles, you add in the other sports, basketball, football. I think those events and those sports are taking away or top jumpers. They're now focusing on other things. And it's a sad situation to see, and it bothers me very, very deeply. And not only that, there just isn't enough development at the high school level anymore. There just isn't. Mm-hmm. So for us as college coaches, we're having to teach these young men stuff that we did already. We were already jumping 8 meters in high school. That was something that was normal. And now you're having to take young men at 750, 760 and try to develop them into 8-meter jumpers. Mm-hmm. So I would say that would be the main issue that I think is an uphill battle for college coaches and pro coaches.
Yeah, I mean, so it sounds to me like what I'm hearing you saying, like there's a plethora of reasons here. You know, it sounds like the development at the high school level, at the club level, is not close to what it used to be and obviously should be now.
Yes.
And, you know, I would agree also that the whole thing with basketball and football, because you got guys that got no shot to make it to the NCAA who are running around thinking they're going to be in the NBA, right?
Yeah.
Guys who can't make their high school team and thinking they're going to be in NFL someday when they could be, you know, pretty good long or triple jumpers.
Exactly.
So, Warriors in 7. You any opinion on this?
Yeah, I was enjoying listening to the pontifications. I think in addition to the wonderful things you guys have said, you know, what's really funny is nobody ever talks about the development that has to happen after college, right? Because you jump 820 in college, that's far, but that's a long way from 850. And most of the 850 plus people we've had were not 850 plus in college. They were 820s and 30s, right? And there's time. Well, there's 2 things. One, there's way fewer meets to actually practice your craft. And then 2, you have agents who take people who can sprint and jump and make them into sprinters because they make more money, right? There's 5 times more competitions to be able to run the 100 and or the 100, 200 than there is the long jump. So if you have the ability to do both, you know, they just end up shuttling you towards running the 100, you know, and shuttling you towards being a sprinter. And it's, you know, it's kind of like the long jump, the triple jump for sure, but the long jump and the triple jump are both being attacked from all fronts, right? There's fewer people doing it because of the sports. There's fewer people developing it because of the skill level of a great number of coaches. And then there's fewer meets to do it once you get out of college. And there's fewer people telling you, hey, you should do this as a career, because they'll tell you there's no money in the long jump. There's no money in the long jump. When it used to be, and I mean, this is the thing that I think people miss. It's still about medals, right? Money is wonderful, but it is still about medals. Nobody is going to ask you nor remember what your paychecks were. But if you jump 840 something and never win a medal, you'll be amazed at how fast they forget about you. You know, and yeah. There was a random deep dive done a couple of days ago because I'd stay up way too late at night. And the men's long jump is literally the US's best global event. Like we are 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 9 all time. Right? There's like 9 guys that have jumped over 28 feet in the United States.
But it turns the conversation back to this. Okay, so obviously we've been a dominant force there. So we have to do something to get back to that. I know we had Project Triple Jump a while back. We had some pretty good young people come out of there. I know Keandre Bates, people like that were part of that thing. You know, Chew from you know, you do the level 1s and 2 stuff. Like, is there an enthusiasm amongst the coaches that are attending these your level 1 schools to become better jumps coaches, to go out there and develop the talent that we need to be developed?
So when we get the groups that come through who actually want to learn the jumps, absolutely. But there are also a bigger population who come through so they know the broad stroke. So then when they have to, right? And that tends to be more of the population, unfortunately. And that's the population that goes out. So what they do understand, and what by the time they leave the course, is it's way more intricate than they thought. There are way more things to consider. And then so there's another separation that happens where, oh, I need to take a deeper dive. And those are the students who keep in contact with us, the instructors, and grow from that. And then there's the separation of the other side of where they're like, okay, well, I know there's a mark, I know there's a board, and I know there's sand. I'm supposed to be safe, and you go as far as you can. And they leave it at that, which at least they took enough to know some of the basics, and they have the literature, right? I'll take that for what that's worth. But it's still amazing how much of a misconception there is about the education and the pedagogy of coaching. It's crazy. It really is. Okay. And not to say the science and science and that's the rule, but
right. And I think what everybody's touching on here is, you know, there's too many athletes in the United States for us to say the athletes aren't there anymore. So there's got to be an effort to go out and identify the athletes. There's got to be this great effort to learn the actual intricacies of the long jump, because it's just not as simple as running out, putting your foot on a board, right?
Yeah.
And I think the other thing too is that, you know, most of the people that, you know, Warriors and 7 mentioned, the guys that jump that far are still around. You know, the coaches who coach those guys are still around. So is there any effort, I wonder, by any of these people to go out and reach out and talk to these people? You know, I think we'd all, you know, tell you, because we've had conversations with him, that Randy Huntington isn't the easiest guy to understand. But, you know, if you take the time to understand him, you will learn a lot, you know. And, you know, knowing the guys like Randy out there, you know, they'll talk to you. I think one of the greatest resources in track and field that nobody ever seems to ever want to tap into was Joe Walker, who used to be the coach at Ole Miss, right? And Joe was the guy to develop Larry Myers. People don't know that.
Yeah.
You know, so, and Joe's still alive and well. All right, speaking of practice, Madam Chu, there are many processes out there in regards to setting up practice. Can you share with us your thoughts on what components make up a successful practice for you and what you do on a daily basis?
So very educator-ish, and it's not because I teach classes, but I swear to you, this is what I do. When I'm creating the plans, I go from general to specific, and I make sure that the objective that I set forth is seen in every step of the way, starting with the warm-up, then with the activation, and then the task, and then circling it back whenever we're doing our cool down. Does it reflect what we've done in the practice, so on and so forth. But what I think when I'm having these conversations with mentees or even in the classes, what I always say is your objective has to be the objective, but the objective doesn't have to be accomplished the way you thought it was going to happen. So a lot of the times, a lot of track is a feeling, because we feel that one way is right, but it looks completely different than what the intrinsic or the internal feeling is. But when we can feel it, we can fix it. And that's like the mantra of all of my practices is we have to be able to feel something. Because when you can feel something, you can manipulate it, fix it, correct it, or keep it the same.
Replicate it.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that's my
Yeah.
biggest thing is when I'm composing elements of a practice, it has to elicit this. So whether it's the objective or the feeling or whatever it is I'm actually trying to achieve, that's the biggest thing for me. And that's what measures the success is, we just had the last jump session yesterday for high jump. And I think of the 10 bars that we put up, only 3 were cleared, but we achieved so much because all 10 attempts, there was no flailing, there was no coming off the line, there was no rushing. So I was like, I'm good. I don't need to see anything else. I need you to clear the bars at championships, not in practice. I don't care about that. So.
Okay. So when you walk away from a practice session, you just said that was a successful practice. Are there any other things that happened during a practice session that you deem to make it a successful practice session?
Conversation. Always making sure that when we start, in the middle, and at the end, there's an exchange. A successful practice is identifying that you've had 2 finals at 8 a.m. at 10 a.m. and that we're going to be successful because we're going to have a solid warm-up, a good testosterone session, whatever that looks like for each coach, and then cool down. And that's success. And this is why we did it this way. This is how we're achieving what we were trying to do. Wrap it up, go away. Be safe. Okay.
Governor, in your eyes, what's a successful practice for you? What things need to be accomplished in a practice session for you to deem it successful?
So I look at it in 3 phases. I'm telling an athlete to execute a drill, to do a movement, and that athlete then has to interpret what I just said, and then they now have to try and actually do it. Okay. A successful practice to me is when that athlete takes a step closer to feeling it. And I think for us coaches, a lot of us kind of take it for granted when we ask an athlete, hey, did you feel that? Like when you hit that gear from 25 to 35, did you feel that? And I think it's a victory and it's a plus when that athlete can come back to you and truthfully say, coach, I felt that. And how many of us coaches will go through an entire recruiting class and we're trying to get these athletes closer to that point, because once you feel it, now when you show up for practice the next day and the next day and the next day, now you're actually there's something you're actually trying to accomplish. Until that point, you are literally just repeating yourself over and over and over again. And you're waiting for that eureka moment. Because an athlete can easily say, oh yeah, coach, I felt that. And you'll know, no, you did not. You did not. So a successful practice in
they
my
get that
mind,
face. They go,
yes.
It's like that OS
yes.
face. Oh,
you know,
that just happened.
And I mean, I'd say in its simplest form, you tell an athlete to accelerate from 0 to 30, and 80 meters down the track, they're going, what just happened? Right? When you start to see things like that happen, that's when you know you've broken through. And they're now starting to conceptualize what you're telling them. So it's that simple for me.
You know, and I think the biggest thing is you touched on some very good stuff there. And I think the biggest thing is understanding that if you're trying to get from 0 to 30, if you get from 0 to 10, you had a successful practice, right? Because if they were at 0.
Yep.
Now the ultimate goal is 30, but if you got to 10, there was success. And so leave the athlete, have them walk away from the situation with that successful thought in their mind, right?
Yes.
Not that, oh my God, I didn't get to 30. Like, hey, we accomplished something today.
Yeah.
You know, and I love that because, you know, my athletes tease me all the time when I go, did you feel that? Did you feel that? Like they imitate me when they think I can't hear it, right? So, yeah. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know, you have to be able to feel it, because if you can't feel it, you can't replicate it.
Right.
I talk a lot about practice makes permanent. And when the athlete comes out on Tuesday and they've got it, or I think they've got it, and they come back on Thursday and I'm like, oh, we didn't get it.
Exactly.
We didn't get
exactly.
it. We got to work on our retention skills. Yeah, I think that for me, wonderfully said, Governor. So give me one thing. And I'm not calling you Warrior 7 anymore. I mean, that just doesn't. These are horrible tastes in my mouth.
It's good. It's good.
He did that on purpose. So Warriors, give me one thing that leaves you when you walk away from the track that makes you go, man, that was a good day.
That's an easy one. I share before practice what the goal is, right? I feel like it's important to paint a picture of what success is, because I think a lot of times athletes come to the track and they only judge success by a tape measure or a crossbar or whatever. And so I try to set the classroom right beforehand. This is what success is. And when I walk away from practice feeling like I conveyed my message correctly, we assaulted, we made vicious attempts at accomplishing that, and we walk away with some of it, most of it, or whatever, but hungry for more of it, I feel like that's a great practice. Like I always like to, I'm super happy. Athletes are never happy this way, but I'm super happy when somebody just misses or we left a little chicken on the bone. I am very happy with those practices.
Yeah. You know, and I think that kind of speaks to what we talked about a little bit earlier, you know, the little things that lead to the big thing. Right. Mm-hmm. And then I don't think people understand that. You see these athletes have these massive breakthroughs and then they get stuck because people keep looking for the next big massive breakthrough instead of looking at the little things to start to chip away at the ultimate goal. And,
to your point, I say this all the time. Like, you know, we're always trying to, obviously with all the events we coach, we're always trying to get these little things, right? As soon as we get one of those things, I say right then, that was it. Now we need 1,000 of those, right? Not more, just need that one 1,000 times over.
Right.
because in the pursuit of that,
people, I talk a lot about, you know, movement skills. And so if we can master the movement skill, then we can add intensity to the movement.
Exactly.
But the biggest mistake is trying to add intensity to an improper movement. Oh my God. That leads to me just going, wow. Oh, yeah. Back to the drawing board. We got to find a cue, right?
But what's funny is we always have to we have to uncoach that, right? Because the American model is more horsepower, and we'll figure out the steering later.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right. So most of the time when you get accomplished kids out of high school, that's what they are. They're more horsepower and less skill.
See, you know, just as a side note here, as much as I enjoyed watching what John Smith and Trevor Graham did with the whole drive face thing, I wish it never happened. because the number of people out there teaching that skill, or that proposed skill, reported skill, whatever you want to call it, they're just teaching it wrong. And so what you get is you get these kids, you get these athletes to come to you, and they're just digging a hole and running in place, you know, with their head down. And they think that's the drive phase. And it's not. You know, the drive phase is a movement skill. And people don't understand that. And, you know, it's almost like you want to get John and Trevor and go, okay, look, let the cat out of the bag, please. You know? But, you know, so I think that, you know, again, it's things like that people don't understand. You know, it takes a while to get people to unlearn things and then to reteach them things. You know, I talked to someone about this the other day in regards to Joseph Fambolé. Joseph Fambolé's biggest issue is he was told to start like a speed skater when he was in high school. Ooh, yeah, you can see it now, can't you?
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, that he did that for 4 years, and now he still wants to do that because that's what he's accustomed to. And so reteaching things, you know, helping the athlete relearn. I think, you know, guys, it was unbelievable answers, guys. That was really good. Okay, so Warriors.
Can we get rid of the toe drag and the Aries merit arm too while we get rid of things?
I mean, I see the whole toe drag thing supposedly was Bolt was doing a photo session of some kind, and he did it in the photo session, and it became a cool thing. Right. The Aries merit arm is exclusive to Aries merit, folks.
Exclusive.
Like, okay, like you have to know Aries, you have to know his skill set, you have to know his mindset to understand that Aries was just that talented and that he mastered that movement. And so there's another thing too. So if you're trying to do that, you might want to find Aries and see if he can help you understand why he did it, because nobody knows why. He's never talked to anybody about that.
In its simplest form, did the movement not match how far he took off before?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so unless you are matching that distance between takeoff and landing, you're not going to have the time to do that.
Right.
That's where I think people go wrong, because they get jammed up on the hurdle. The hand goes up, everything goes up.
Right. And see, and because, you know, like at the top of his game, Aries was poetry in motion.
Yes.
You know, like,
absolutely.
And I tell people all the time, like, okay, you know, Grant and I watch videos of a lot of hurdlers. We don't watch Aries. No. That's just
because it doesn't match. Because it doesn't match.
No.
Because Aries will get your hurdler hurt. I'm serious, because you watch his takeoff distance and you're like, no, that's not. No. Right. And then the crazier thing is you watch the takeoff distance, and you watch the touchdown positions.
Yes.
And you just go, no, I'm not teaching that. No. Because that's exclusive to Aries marriage.
Absolutely.
You know? So, all right. So, Warriors. And this is a hot topic for him, folks. So,
let's put it this way. I didn't do homework for this.
Yeah. Okay. We see a lot. And to quote you, a plethora of track and field athletes hold on for far too long. As a high-level track and field athlete, when do you know it was time? When did you know it was time to step away? And what's your advice for people who struggle with this decision?
Well, okay, so the first part's easy. I have always worked from the end backwards. When I started doing track, I wanted to get everything that I could out of my body by age 30, which was the Sydney Olympics. I ended up going one more year just for a lot of financial reasons. But at the end of the day, I knew if I gave myself a finite amount of time that I would never have an excuse for slacking a day, because I could never assume, well, you know, I'll get to it, right? I had to get, in my own head, I had to get great by here. I had to get to an Olympics and hopefully not, but probably mess it up so that I could get to an Olympics and expect myself to win. So for me, I won't say I retired 10 years before, but I had it all planned out in a lot of ways from the beginning. I'm not saying that's the way that everybody needs to do it, but I will say this. I definitely think doing anything, but certainly doing something that is physically, like if it's linked to your physicality, which our sport for certain is, if you don't think in a finite fashion, if you're not trying to maximize every single training segment, every single training month, every single training year, if you're not trying to get to be great every time you touch the track, you're wasting those pool calendar days, right? And that's what happens. People figure it out 3 years, 4 years, 5 years too late, like past their elite athletic sell-by date, and then they're trying to hang on and get what they should have been trying to earn 4 or 5 years prior to that.
Okay, so what's your advice? So when do you say, okay, hey, that's enough? Because you made a comment to me about someone that he's going to make people forget that he was great.
Yeah.
So when do you say to somebody, and how do you say it to somebody? And more importantly, how does a person figure it out for themselves before they embarrass themselves?
I think the biggest thing is real live, like be as brutal with yourself as the sport is going to be with you. Right? Like you have to know what it takes to be world-class for real. You have to know what it takes to be an Olympic or world championship finalist, because if you're not thinking in terms of that, you should not be doing professional track, because nobody cares if you make meets anymore, right? You have to be a finalist and you have to be battling for medals. And if you can't legitimately, not everything has to go right for you to get there. It's got to be something that you can do and replicate in training, right? If that's not what you're doing on a regular basis and you're on the way down from that, that's when you start developing an exit strategy.
Okay. So here's my thing. Right? So this is the baffling part for me. Okay. So I am a 9.9 sprinter, and I continually go to meets for a calendar year, and I run 10.2. Right?
Shut it down. Unless you're hurt, shut it down.
Exactly. Right. So that's what I'm saying is, like, somehow there's got to be, like you said, an exit strategy. There's got to be. And I think part of the problem is because there's too many track and field athletes who don't have an exit strategy, who don't have a plan B, who don't have a backup plan as to, all right, so I'm going to compete till I'm 30.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I get to this point, no matter where I am in my career, I've got to go along this path to get done what I need to get done in my life. And I think that's an issue. So Governor, I mean, you, again, very, very talented young fella. When did you know it was enough? When did you know it was time to hang up your spikes?
So I would have to say it was 5 years before I retired, which was probably 2 years too long. When I had my first knee surgery, the recovery, was quick. I was back on the track within 2 months, but it wasn't right. My knee was not right, and it was clear. So I knew that I had to do a lot of work to get back to at least get as close to 100% as the other leg was. Well, that then translated into a hip issue. And once that hip issue came up, I ended up having to have hip surgery on top of that. Same leg. And at that point, when there's a chain, when things are starting to move from one place to another,
Mm-hmm.
it is past time.
Mm-hmm.
Because all that's going to happen is that you're going to do further damage to yourself. It's inevitable. So what happened? I recovered from the hip surgery about 2 months faster than I should have. It was a 4 to 6 month recovery plan. I was back on the track in 3.5 months. Yay, yay, yay. But guess what? It only meant that 2 years later, I completely popped the hamstring on the other leg because the other leg was doing all the work.
All the work.
All the work. So I had to retire. I had no choice.
So in a lot of ways, you were forced to because you stayed in too long.
Absolutely.
And so, see, and I'm gonna put this a little bit of onus on the other half of this equation, right? As coaches, I think it's our job sometimes to go, hey, it's been enough, right? Mm-hmm. And I can't make you retire, but I can tell you I'm not going to coach you. I'm not going to be a part of that anymore, right? Because there's too many coaches out there, I think, that hold on with the athlete, for whatever reason as well. Yeah. Clyde, you have a comment on that?
Yes, obviously I'm late to the party. My apologies. But I'm not even sure what the original question was, but that particular point, I love, and I want to tell a quick story about this, and I hope if she sees this story, she will ultimately forgive me for it. But it's to the point. When I was the director of track and field at Academy of Art University, I brought in a friend of mine and colleague, Lauren Smith, to be one of my assistants. Lauren was always an extremely talented hurdler, ran for the University of Houston, and I knew that she wanted to get into coaching. And I thought that I could help her with that endeavor. She also wanted to continue pursuing running professional track. And I say professional because she didn't make any teams. She was unsigned, but she was, she could get herself in some races on the circuit every summer and, kind of just exist. Mm-hmm. And so I said, okay, I'll coach you in the hurdles. You help me coach these kids. And she had the best season of her life. She PR'd in 7 different events, from the 100 all the way through her primary event, which was the short hurdles. Even ran a lifetime best in the 400 hurdles. Didn't make it out of the second round at USA's. And I told her that summer when we sat down for kind of a debrief about the year that was, she's like, well, next year with my training. I said, stop. There is no next year with your training. You're 32 years old. You just PR'd in multiple events. You did not make a USA team. What are we doing this for? So you can go back to Europe and see the same meets you've been seeing and see the same people? Or do we want to pursue this next thing, which is potentially a career? And I told her, I was like, I love you. You're a friend of mine. I will do anything for you. But you got 2 choices. You can come back here and coach, or you're fired. I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. And she was pissed off at me for like 3 weeks, but she heard me. Mm-hmm. And she came back as a coach, and we won a national championship together. And she got, moved up into Division I, worked for Army. Like, she jump-started what, the career that she wanted to do. But if I wasn't willing to be a friend to her, if I wasn't willing to be a legitimate coach to her, I could have kept that charade up for a couple more years, but for what? So to that point, like, a lot of professional coaches squeeze that out for dollars, and it's wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think
I don't understand that, because we all have
the honesty piece. Yeah,
the honesty piece. Right. What I got this from you, right? The eye in the sky doesn't lie. He shakes the stopwatch, right? Mm-hmm. Like, if you've run 9.9, like using your guy that you were talking about, right? Your mythical 9.9 guy. What your 30s, your 60s, your 120s, what all those things are when you were running 9.9. So unless you're lying to yourself, you're not in 9.9 shape.
Right.
Because you have to time these things.
Yeah.
Right. So like that's the part that I never understood. Like, look, when you show up to a meet and your uniform is 2 years older than the other people's, that's a sign.
All right. Okay. We're going to move on All right, thanks.
Saying.
I'm glad that Clyde has joined us from this. Wow, that was wow. Okay, so Clyde.
Yeah, but what's y'all are laughing, but you all know exactly what I'm talking about.
We know exactly what you mean.
We do, but that was disrespectful, which is why I can't get this question out to Clyde because you're tripping.
It's not disrespectful.
So Clyde,
it's honest.
Clyde, you have made a steady climb through the coaching ranks from the club level to a director of a Division I program. Looking back at your path, are there any mistakes you feel you've made, or things you feel you could have done better along the way?
The short answer is obviously yes. But I'm not gonna lie, I struggled with this question because anybody who truly knows my path to this business, they know that it is anything other than traditional. Whatever we've been on this program and giving people advice of how best to prepare and raise themselves through this profession to succeed. I didn't do any of those things. My path was largely isolated. It was solo. I didn't have, traditional, mentors that helped me establish jobs and do these things. Like, I didn't do that. I made every opposite decision that people told me I should make. My first job in this business was Louisiana Tech as an assistant coaching hurdles exclusively under Sean Jackson and Gary Stanley. And we were wildly successful. And I had a bunch of opportunities to move on to different things. And the one I chose was to go to Division II at a startup program with no history and no record of having a track program. And everybody's like, you can't do that, your career is gonna end. And I'm like, well, why? I just want to go home and run things my own way. Mm-hmm. And so throughout my career, I've always chosen non-traditional paths. And that's something I'm proud of. I think the biggest mistake I made in my career was I let the success that I was having at the rate that I was having make me, allow me to delude myself to thinking that I was untouchable. An arrogance to not my personality, but just how I moved. Like, oh, that doesn't matter, I'm successful. Oh, this doesn't matter, I'm successful. Oh, I can hire whoever I want, it doesn't matter, I'm gonna be successful. I got careless in my time at ArtU, thinking that I could just do whatever I do and it was gonna ultimately work out. And ultimately hired people under me that almost cost me my career. And that remains to this day my biggest mistake. And even though the details of how that whole thing played out weren't my fault, I set that table in motion. And I should have seen it coming. And my arrogance blinded me to that. And I think successful coaches in this business experience that more than they are willing to admit to themselves. You have some success, your kids run some PRs, you get some championships, some records, and you start to think, I'm untouchable. I got news for you, you're always touchable. And the minute you lose track of your path and the minute you lose focus on the bigger picture, you're gonna fall into that hole that might be being dug underneath you. And so
yeah, you touched on a very big thing there when you talk about I like to call it blind arrogance, right? Because a lot of times the coaches that are doing it don't realize they're doing it. And the Warriors and I talk about this a lot. Like, you dance to the girl you brought to the dance. And so the same passion, the same fire, the same intensity, the same attention to detail and diligence that you use to get to, let's call it the mountaintop, are the same things that are required to stay there. But as you very well stated, that, you have a fast relay, you have a fast athlete, you do get a national champion, and all of a sudden people think, well, I've made it, right? But you're far from it, because like you never really make it, in my opinion. You know, the day I wake up and I think that I've got this all figured out, I'm gonna find something else to do, because I've lost my mind. You know, but I think that was, you know, very well said. I mean, that, you know, that drives home a very serious point. Arrogance will get you out of this business quicker than anything else.
Oh my God.
And
Governor, you have anything you want to add to that?
Well, there are far too many examples of it. I mean, we watch it year after year after year. And when you start taking a deeper dive into why coaches are getting fired or why coaches are finding themselves in trouble, you realize that there has to be synergy. There has to be a clear message as the head of a program, and your assistants have to understand, this is my program. This is what I want from you as my assistant. This is what I require. And unless, when you start seeing things veer left or right, you have to make the tough decisions. And, you know, for Clyde, obviously, I mean, that is not an easy thing to admit.
No,
on
that
any
was
level.
Unbelievable, Clyde.
It is not an easy thing to just say that.
Right.
Okay? But what you just did, and I hope that folks that are watching this, that they get a chance to see this, understand that you will, if you ever get the chance to run a program, you will run into that situation. It's inevitable. And it might be a close friend. It might be someone that you love and trust like family. And that's where you really start to understand, wait a minute, hold on now. Hold on, is it really worth me getting fired to put up with what I'm seeing right now? And that's where I think a lot of folks get upside down.
Right. And I'm going to say this, folks, you know, we've been doing this for 4 years. And that may be the best piece of advice you've ever heard come out of these 5 towels. It might be. It literally might be. So, I mean, very, very well said, Clyde. Very well said. Well, you know, that wraps up the staff meeting, Madam Chu. You know, on to rapid fire time.
Rapid fire.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Or would you rather?
Would you rather?
I don't think it'll be as good as my would you rather from earlier.
That was funny. I was reading it to the staff.
That was nonsense.
It was like this man is reading the menu at Outback.
Here's the best thing about it. I'm like, you know what? It's conference week. We all need a good laugh. So let me get the party started. So
look, just for quick context, y'all don't understand. We're all in different time zones.
Right.
I'm out west. I'm in Clovis. I'm in the middle of practice. I all of a sudden get to my phone. I got like 30 text messages. What the hell is going on? If you're a director and you got 30 text messages, something's wrong. No, it's the LLC fools doing this random would you rather. It's like, what is happening right now?
Yes. But it made you laugh, though, didn't it?
Oh,
yes.
Man.
Yes, it did.
I mean, make you laugh. I had to listen. The director of track and field at the University of Florida asked me, would I rather be hit in the head with a boomerang or
fight a dingo?
Or fight a dingo?
Made you laugh.
Oh my God.
So yeah, we keep telling people, you know, if we ever publicize what they don't see.
Oh God.
Yes.
the pre and post show. Goodness.
Oh. Yes.
Yeah. And the text thread.
Yeah. All right, Big League.
All right. So, Governor, it is your turn. Right. And to answer would you rather from the question from last week, I don't want to say finally, that was horrible. I'm sorry for everybody who ever got me a gift. I got a gift that I like the most. The family got me we have a friend in Indiana who does paper art, and she did a Moana setting picture with the paper art. It's super cool, and I mean, obviously it's one of a kind because she only made one. So super love it. And then because Warriors in 7 knows my affinity for 11s, I got my all gray 11s, and I'm so excited. And I definitely did not bring them because it's supposed to rain this weekend. So I was like, nope, not bring them to conference. So we're gonna have to wait for indoor season.
Yeah, you know, there's certain J's that aren't meant to be worn outside.
Never ever. So that is my answer to what is my favorite gift. So
okay, awesome.
Anyways, Governor, are you ready, sir?
I am ready.
This first question is in true essence of conference travel. Would you rather arrange your travel or set up food orders?
Arrange travel.
See? Nobody wants to do the food order.
No.
Listen, the only people doing the food orders are
even
idiots or idiots.
Even though we've entered the 21st century where we're literally sending out a questionnaire. All you literally have to do is hit a button. Here are 10 choices. Here's the menu. Hit the button and choose what you want.
They won't do that either.
Oh my goodness. I will do the travel any day. Just give me the names, the birth dates. Done.
All right. Would you rather drink Red Bull or drink coffee?
Coffee.
Would you rather listen to a CD, a cassette tape, or a streaming service?
Streaming service.
Would you rather go camping or resort vacation?
A resort vacation. No, I'm not. No. I grew up outdoors. Okay, I've had my fill. I grew up on an island. All right, I've had enough mosquito bites, and I'm good. I'm good.
All right. Well, last question from me. Would you rather park close with minimal walk and take more time for it, or would you rather park further away, taking less time but requiring more of a walk?
So I'm gonna let you in on a little secret, okay? Like I am the type of parker that will literally, so everybody drives into a parking lot and it's full. And they're going, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and park here and just forget about the stress of it. I'm the one that's driving all the way to the closest point because someone may be coming out. And I don't know, my percentage of success has been pretty dang high. So I will always try to park close, always. Occasionally you fall into that trap and you're just sitting there like, damn.
I gotta commit now. I'm committed.
Oh man.
All right, gentlemen.
Okay, so from a spectator standpoint and from a coach's standpoint, okay?
From a what? What's the first one?
Spectator and coach. Okay,
Yep.
So as a coach, what conference meet would you love to be coaching in this weekend? And as a spectator, what conference meet would you like to be watching this weekend?
Oh. As a coach, I would love to be coaching in the Big 12 this weekend. As a spectator, I would absolutely love to be at the SEC meet to watch those fireworks. Never fails. Never fails.
I feel like that was a two-part question. You only answered one part.
Huh?
No, he answered both. He answered both parts.
All right. My bad.
You did.
All right, sir. We all take our appropriate shots at the NCAA from time to time.
Oof.
Is there anything that the NCAA has done recently that you're proud of?
God damn it. This is the size of the ball that you have just thrown in the air. Here, take that.
I feel like he's the best person to ask that question.
Oh my goodness. Well, about a week ago, a certain picture went viral.
Track viral.
And I'd say to a man, we all just sighed to ourselves. It was incredulous. We were all like, are we really looking at this right now? And then a bunch of results started popping up that were too good to be true. I don't know how you would put it. It was magical. There were miraculous improvements all around. And what was sad about it is, you know, at that point, you should be applauding the coaches that actually put that effort into their athletes to get them to that point. Instead, I think there were enough people that made enough of a stink about it that the NCAA had to step in. And has that ever happened in the history of our sport? I don't know.
No.
Ever.
No.
So when you talk about how small the NCAA office is and how like deregulated things are, for them to step in and do that, bravo, because there are far too many opportunities. Our sport is far too spread out. You know, for whoever it is that posted that photo, to the end result, you hate it for the kids, absolutely hate it for the kids, but it had to be done.
And now I'm no longer being petty, but we know what you're discussing. You didn't say what the it was. What is the it? For the audience, seriously.
The Southland Conference long jump, triple jump, and multi events, horizontal events in the multi. There were a plethora, and that word keeps popping up tonight, of
P-word
bests, NCAA first round.
Dominate once again.
There were a bunch of PBs, massive PBs, not just little PBs, massive improvements, NCAA prelim qualifier jumps. And, you know, now in our sport, we've seen stuff like this. And those of us that are paying attention, if you're watching the results of a long jump and there's only one jump out of all of them that is legal win, you really have to wonder. Pedroso, for example, jumping 896 and having the only legal jump out of that entire competition. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to stop there.
Okay. What is your question, Warriors?
Okay. I'm going to not try to ruin a lot of people's what's the word?
Perception.
Yes.
Delusion.
All of that. Governor,
Mm-hmm.
once and for all, I'm gonna ask a mean question, but once and for all, which meet is better, the Olympics or World Championships?
Hey.
Oh.
I told you it was a mean question.
Oh.
And for the record, just so people know, how many Olympics have you been in?
3,
How many World Championships have you been in?
6.
Okay, so you were definitely a good person to ask this of.
Wait, hold on. That's what I just heard.
We're talking about the meet, right? We're talking about the
as a track meet, the world championships are better.
Is it really close?
No, not really.
I mean,
because the world championships is devoted strictly to our sports. They're not the distractions of the other sports going on around us. So.
This is true. All of that is true. Like the dynamics of the Olympics, the 4-year wait, the hierarchy, everything like that. I think just as much as you have unbelievable performances, I think you also have a situation where athletes will go overboard and try too hard because of how much it means. And I think that takes away from the overall quality of the event, in my opinion.
One of the biggest things you have to manage in the Olympics is being at a track meet for 8 days before anybody competes.
Oh, Lord. And that's
it's the untalked about thing that's one of the hardest things about the Olympics.
And to tell an athlete, you might want to skip the opening ceremony. You might want to skip all the pomp and circumstance and all of that. You might want to just come in when it's time to compete. Easier said than done. This is my first, it might be my only. Hey, man, what you are going to go through for 8 days, the highs and lows and everything in between, you are going to be drained by the time your name is called. It's impossible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we got
there.
Travel.
I actually asked
that was
a real
travel.
question.
I'm sorry. That was a travel.
Oh, chew. It's okay. They're gonna win tonight. You'll be all right. You
will, but
another game. You'll get to see another game.
Anyways, all right. Let's wrap up the show with our heartbeat props.
I'll go first. I mean, mine's is easy. I just want to, wish everybody competing in their conference meets, including those of us on the tiles, all the best this weekend. Stay healthy, stay dry when possible, and just do well as we move on towards the next step.
You spoke for me.
Yeah, Clyde, is there weather in your forecast, or is it Clovis apropos?
There's beautiful weather in my forecast.
Okay.
All right, let's move on now. Let's go.
90 degrees, baby. 90 degrees and 1.0 winds. We ready.
Oh, Lord.
Clovis.
Ready.
Anyways, us on the 35, we're just chilling strong with this wind and rain coming in.
We couldn't even get through practice today.
It was bad. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Where y'all at?
We're in Denton, Texas, and Big League is in Norman.
Yeah, but it's all.
And they literally on the same freeway. You're going to drive right by Denton on your way to get to Norman.
Same tornado path.
Yep.
Oh, tornado! See, I can't wait to get to Austin.
Hey, the good thing is, Big League is where the National Weather Service headquarters is, so she'll know whether anything's coming.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Ditto for me on my heartbeat props.
I'm gonna be more specific. I'm just gonna wish my fellow tile mates the very best to all of you and all of your athletes this weekend at conference. I'm not hating on anybody else, but I want to see Road Runners and Spartans and Horned Frogs and Gators do really well this weekend.
Thank you so much, kind sir.
Dang.
Mine's gonna be a little longer, but hell, I was late, so
you gotta make up for time.
my heartbeat props are kind of dual sided and in the theme of conference championship weekends. Even though this coming weekend is basically considered championship weekend for the majority, last weekend was also a championship weekend for a lot of people. And my former boss, Mr. Richie Bean at Alabama State, won his 58th SWAC championship.
I'm sorry, his 580th?
Basically. 58.
His 5011th?
Yeah, all
5011.
That's probably how you say it in Mississippi, where he
done won the 5011th triumph.
So, you know, my heartbeat props go out to Richie Bean and his staff. And all I'm gonna say is alphabet crew. Just do what's right. Put this man in the Hall of Fame where he belongs.
That's right.
But the reason that I was late tonight is because I was having my team's pre-championship night. We start tomorrow. And a tradition that I first encountered at Alabama State and have absolutely stolen from Richie Bean is that before the championship outdoors start, the last part of our meeting is we bring the seniors up one at a time to reflect on their time within the program. It is ridiculously emotional. And this one was particularly so for me because these seniors are the original kids who I inherited in this program and have earned the right to still be here. And everybody around here will tell you that that has been a lot to ask, and they've gone through a lot. So to Richie Bean on his success and his lessons, working for him has made me a better version of myself in this chair the second go round. And to my three seniors, Sophie Lau, Kaya Johnson, and Mr. Roman Johnson, I appreciate everything that you all have done. And you all are the foundation of what we are building here at San Jose State into the future. So I appreciate y'all, love and respect you. And hopefully we're going to go out here and do what we do tomorrow.
That's right.
Yay. Well, here we go. About that time, y'all. So good luck to everyone as they could begin competing or will begin to compete. Warriors are currently up by 11. We'll go ahead and wrap that one up. And
it's been shrinking.
I know. With that said, everyone be safe, travel, stay healthy, and we'll see each other soon. Bye, everyone.
When the lights come on, the road just get to running. When the lights come on, opponents smash the plumbing. Heard you like it warm, hot, knife the butter. Truth hit them hard, knock them off that rebuttal. Tsunami, tidal wave to your puddle. Tough love, punch you in the arms, little brothers. Athletics, LLC, there's no others. Track and field's place and we'll peel to go further. Hey, Wile E. Coyote, it's road runners. Feels like you know us, you've been with us the whole summer. If not for this quarantine, these four corners wouldn't be here, but we here, so start learning. You gotta earn your stripes, gotta get your scars. Show you how to fight, but show us who you are. You lack experience, but still you wanna talk. And who is actually talking to you? Circle's kinda small. Heads prevail when the backbone's strong. Gotta keep it coming, no, it won't last long. Pass and fail, then sell the sad song. And if you don't check yourself, then that's wrong. Just trying to give you the real that you asked for. So why you keep cutting us off to ask more? We put it in slow-mo, but you fast forward. Athletics, LLC, the task force.